Sippers, welcome to the Tea With Me podcast with me, Shane Todd. I'm using my new camera. Sometimes I sort of look into the viewfinder, sometimes I look down the lens. It might appear at some time like I have two lazy eyes. If that happens, do me a favour. Don't think it's funny to screenshot it and then send me that on Instagram and go, some eyes on you, mate. I don't appreciate it. Also, what I don't appreciate, because we're kicking off ranty, what I don't appreciate, and this needs to be talked about. And by the way, before I start this, you know who you are. There's a lot of snakes and rats going about. Okay? People think it's the plague because there's so many snakes and rats crawling around the streets. I put up some Instagram videos today out of the goodness of my heart. I do my Instagram story for yous to get you through whatever you're going through. You know, some of you might be in McGabry for theft. Some of yous might be, going through a divorce, because you've married someone and then you've realised that they like cricket. You might be I don't know what you're going through, alright? But the only thing see how angry I am? I can't do words, and also I think my asthma's like kicked in a wee tiny bit. I think my asthma's come back. And the reason I'm so pissed off is I put up some Instagram stories today. I was back in BBC filming my TV show. I'm a big shot. Okay, you know they call me Big Money, the Money Toad, aka Big Money, aka this is the shittest nickname yet, aka the Currency Man, aka the Bureau de Change, aka Notes. That's what people call me, Notes. And look, I've got a bit red in the face because I was having such a good time on my own banter there. But here's where it gets not funny. Okay? People, listen. Today I put out some Instagram stories that were very funny. I was just goofing around like I does. And some people started to go. One person started, and then it kept going and going. And people said, "Mate, are you wearing a short sleeve hoodie?" And if you're watching the video podcast, you absolutely know what's up. Yeah, I'm wearing a short sleeve hoodie. I did Colin Geddes' General Banter podcast this morning at about 8:30 in the morning. You know why? Because the early birds catch the dough. And me and Colin are two guys that like to get up early together. Okay, people might not know that. Like, Colin lives about 30 miles away, maybe more from where I do. But we have our own little flat halfway between. And we, as two friends, every night like to hit the hay together. Which is a great phrase. I'll be honest, this was a podcast I was sort of like 50-50 on doing. I was sort of thinking, should I do this tomorrow? I text producer Dan. I said, hey man, I might send this over to you tomorrow. He said, yeah, that's fine. And then I just went, you know what? I feel like I need to do it. I'm giddy. Also, I've tried to do the green screen here. We know I've tried this before and failed. So I don't know if you're watching the video version on YouTube, if you're seeing a great funny background of my choice, or if you're just seeing green. And if you are just seeing green, make do with it. Because people have been slagging off my sleeveless hoodie as soon as I started doing Colin's podcast this morning. People started messaging because he put a photo of us up. He wrote here with Miss Todd, which, okay, disrespectful. But people started going, is that a short sleeve hoodie? And I thought when he said that, I thought Donatella Versace must have been commenting on it. Or Anna Wintour. Certainly somebody in the modeling industry, in the fashion industry. Oh no, just ugly people. That's all it is. People messaging me, men, women, children, left, right and centre, going, sleeveless hoodie, what are you doing? And I'm just clicking on your profile, babe, and I'm going, what are you doing facially? I'm going, what are you doing with your head? Because you need to, I can change my hoodie, but you can't change the fact that, you look like... Fuck, I can't think of an insult. Nah, that was going to be... Oh, fuck, you got me so annoyed that I can't think of a good insult. I don't know. People with faces like soup strainers. I don't know, it doesn't really work. But all I'm saying is, people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. And people that are 4 out of 10s should stay in the house and not comment on things, okay, boo-boos? I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. And here's the thing with fashion, you got to experiment, and sometimes you get it wrong. But on this occasion, with the black sleeveless hoodie, with the dangly down bits, I've got it right. Because I'm wearing a hoodie, but you're still able to see my arms. You're still able to see a guy who, let's just say, takes care of himself cardiacally. It's been a giddy start. I don't know where this podcast is going to go, but I just know that we're going to have a good time. I know that we're going to have a good time. And let me take a sip of this. I want to talk about tea for a quick second. I fucking love that shit. I've lost the plot. I genuinely lost the run of myself. But come here. I've started drink. I hate it when people do that because you're always just there talking to them, and then they say come here, and you go, no, I am here. But I've started drinking a different brand of tea because we like to have our fingers in many pies. We like to have our tongues in many bags. And last week I had my tongue in Barry. I was in Barry's bag for a couple of weeks, but now I'm having Yorkshire tea for a while just because it caught my eye in Asda, and I thought, ribbit, let me buy that. The money toad flicked his tongue out, threw it in the trolley, and the one went to tell me how much it was at the till, and I said, whoa, irrelevant. Beep. And she said it's over £100. How are you still able to do the chip and pin? And I said, don't worry about it, and flicked my tongue out and then hit the contactless thing at the end. And then she went, oh, I've never seen that before. And I said, yeah, look at the till, and it just displayed, you owe this guy £500. And she went, what the fuck, who are you? And I said, hey, notes. I'm Mr. Currency. And she said, okay, security? And I got barred, and that didn't happen. But life is life, and let's keep living it. I don't know. Oh yeah, so start drinking Yorkshire tea. But life is good because before we get into the pod, all you need to know is that the man boy Cheeky is on the road. Okay, the sippers need to come out. I want to see people meeting up because people do pre-drinks beforehand before my tour. Okay, you can slip a little bit of whiskey into your tea or something, but I want people meeting up to have tea and then heading out to see me on tour because we're supposed to do the tour. I say we, I mean me. We're supposed to do the tour in September this year. And there's a very slight chance we could do something. We could do the tour dates at like way reduced capacity. It wouldn't be fun for everyone. So I said, guys, move it to February, but pay me now. I said that to my promoter, who is a beautiful man called Joe. I said, Joe, I said, come here. And he said, what are you talking about? I am here. I'm 2 meters away because we're keeping socially distant. And I said, can we move the tour, but also can I get that money in my account by 4 p.m. today? And he said that's a bit much because it's 3:45. And I said, Joe, I need it. And he said no. And I said, all right, that's reasonable. I'm on tour, guys. It's my new show. It's called Somebody Told Me. It's an hour of stand-up comedy from your boy, and then I'll have a support act. And I'm going to have different support acts on the tour this year. Because last year we kind of divided it between Connor Keys and William Thompson, who both did a phenomenal job any night. So the boys are coming back out on tour with me, but then we're mixing it up as well. Aaron Butler's going to do some shows. Diona Docherty's going to do some shows as well. And who knows? Maybe I'll just go, you know what? I'm in this different place. Or maybe we'll add a date somewhere and I'll just not play by the rules, and I'll go, let me get someone on that isn't even a stand-up. And I genuinely might just have, like, I don't know, remember Big Cook, Little Cook? Maybe I'll have one of those guys open for me. Who knows? Here's where I'm going to be on tour. The show's called Somebody Told Me, by the way. It's loosely based around urban myths. People would tell you in the playground. Like stories that were clearly untrue, but you definitely believed them because you were in P6 and the guy telling you was in P7. So I'm kicking off Friday the 29th, the Braid in Ballymena. By the way, there will be more dates added for these, but this is just all we could get at the minute because it was difficult. Even though it was me, it was difficult to negotiate with some of the venues because the staff are still furloughed. So here's what we've got so far. The Braid, Ballymena, always a ripper, that one. I've never said that before, and I'm not Australian, so I don't know why I did. Friday the 29th of January. Then February 2nd, I'm in Dublin, Whelan's. The 5th, I'm in Portaferry. The 6th, the big one, the Big Daddy, I'm in the Waterfront Hall in Belfast again. Was there last year. Ribbit, sold it out. Ribbit, took all the notes on my tongue and then went back to my lily pad. The 8th, I'm in Liverpool. That's the 8th of February 2021. I'm in Liverpool. The night after, the 9th, I'm in Manchester. The 12th, Enniskillen. 15th, London. The 19th, Newry. 20th Macrofelt, 26th Oma, 27th Armagh. And that's where we're at so far. Most of those tickets are on sale. And there's some that we're waiting to reschedule. So if you have a ticket for an old date that we're not going to be able to do, your ticket will just get rolled over automatically. So just keep that. Bring it on the night. You don't need to do anything. I think it's all pretty sweet. And we'll get the other ones back on sale, like Limavady and stuff like that. We'll get that back on sale. I am beyond excited to get back to doing stand-up. Like, I've talked about it in the podcast in the last couple of weeks. But it's become... I don't want to bitch about it because it's definitely not the worst thing in the world, all things considered. But I'm definitely getting like sad at missing doing stand-up. And like honestly, this podcast is so enjoyable for me to do. It's so fun, and the fact that people like it and listen to it and say nice things about it is brilliant. So this has honestly helped fill like quite a big void that no stand-up has left. But at the same time, like I did Colin's podcast, I said General Banter today, and we were chatting about stand-up, and we could do this and we could do that, and you spend so long with your friends, like having the best of ideas, being like, we should do this, and you just never get round to it because a million and one other things get in the way. But I think we just have to do all these ideas that we're going to have. And now I think Arlene and the boys have basically said you're allowed outdoor gatherings of up to 30 people. You know, in terms of the Northern Irish comedy circuit, sometimes 30 people for us is packed. So I think we can definitely do something. We've started to arrange this with Joe, with our promoter Shine, and let's see what happens. But I really hope in the next couple of weeks we'll have some sort of stand up to announce. And also, by the way, this is class the way this kind of thing happens. If anybody has a space, so in like a good location, you know what I mean? If you have like a space, like a field or some sort of outdoor space that we could get 30 people into, but it needs to hold way more than that so we can socially distance them, give me a shout and let me know on social media or whatever, because stand-up is this cool thing where you can kind of do it anywhere. And I think stand-ups are we're like creative people in a way, so we'll adapt at the minute, and we all just want to go and do stand-up, and we don't really care when or where. So get in touch with me. I'm open to weird ideas about doing stand-up. You know, if you want me to wear like, you know, fucking belly top or dance for you, I'll do it. So the tour's back on, but rescheduled. Also, before we get into it, let me plug the Patreon, patreon.com/teawithmepodcast. I wouldn't plug the Patreon as much as I do if I didn't think that it was good value for what it is. In the Patreon, you pay like a $5 a month, or if you want to pay more than that, you get more cool things. Now that we've got the merch ready to come out for the higher tiers, there's like a merch giveaway and all that kind of thing. But you get a bonus podcast every week, and it's not just like a throwaway type afterthought. The bonus some people prefer the bonus podcast to the podcast, which is very sly. But me and producer Dan do it. For the last couple of weeks, we've been doing the best films of all time, going through like a big list of those and chatting about it. So have a look at the Patreon. If it's something you feel like doing, you'd be supporting the podcast. If not, no worries. Patreon.com/teawithmepodcast. Alright, let's get into it. I was going to do a TripAdvisor this week, but, and by the way, this laptop's burning on my knee, and I don't know why that's happening, but I want to do something a bit different this week. I want to look at this article I found, which is the 24 ridiculously weird historical facts that are surprisingly true. Now, I'm into that, and at the minute, I'm big into history. I've been listening to, and this will only apply to me and like 4 other nerds, because I am, despite looking like some sort of American high school quarterback who played like 12 years ago but had to retire because of hay fever, I am secretly like quite a big nerd. And there is a history podcast series called History on Fire, and it's narrated by this Italian fella called Daniele Bellelli. Now, if that doesn't entice you to listen to something when I tell you that it's narrated by Daniele Bellelli, I don't know what will, because that's fun to say, and it's fun when he says it, and I know that's maybe sly, because he's like, I don't know if you can do the Italian accent anymore, I don't know if this will get removed or whatever, but he's like, with me, Daniele Bellelli, and the way he says it always makes me do a little bit of a smile, and I'm sorry, Daniele Bellelli, if that's sly, but that's just the way it is. The podcast is brilliant. I listened to the series where he's talking about Crazy Horse, who was a Native American like war hero, basically, like a chief who was fighting against the settlers, the Americans. Very good, very good. And now I'm listening to one. And by the way, loads of people will be going, hey man, shut up and talk about funny things. But at the minute, I'm listening to the Spanish conquest of Mexico, and it's fucking great. It's really, really good. And I'm not like a big history buff at all, so people like me can understand it. So it's good. It's well worth checking out. And if anybody wants to talk to me and have a conversation with me about the Spanish conquest of Mexico, do. Because there's not that many people that are keen to discuss that. It's not the sort of thing whenever you're down at the shops and you're in the queue with someone and they go, lovely day outside, isn't it? And you go, yeah, fuck that. What do you think about Cortez and his men just showing up to the capital and trying to mug off Moctezuma and the boys? Very rarely will someone turn around and go, well, it was a different world back then. So definitely worth checking out. But I haven't read these before now. Let's go through these. We might not do all these facts, but we'll do quite a few of them. So these are historical facts that are surprisingly true. Number 1, heroin was once a perfectly acceptable medicine. Doctors prescribed it for everything from coughs to headaches. I mean, I feel like even though it was kind of different back then, like medicine probably wasn't as evolved, because this is taken from 1901. Yeah, even back then though, surely they were noticing the people with coughs. Like a cough or a headache isn't that much of an ailment, but surely like they noticed the difference in the person after they'd taken it. Because like you shouldn't have a headache and then have to inject something in your arm and then just be totally out for the count for 7 hours. It feels like even back then though, it was probably just one absolute header of a chemist doing it, like one pharmacist, and then he was just telling all the other pharmacists like, no, seriously, it's the best way to do it. Heroin. Do you have a tickly cough? Yeah, I'm going to get some Corvonia. See, instead of that, mate, go and get yourself a rusty needle and a bit of tinfoil and just cook up a spoon. Someone's written the cheapest relief of coughs. Yeah. Number 2, Albert Einstein was offered the presidency of Israel in 1952 following the death of their president. He declined, saying he lacked the natural aptitude and the experience to deal properly with people to do the job. What Big Al Einstein's essentially saying there is, he can't be doing with dickheads. If you read between the lines, Einstein's being like, see, basically what he's saying is, Albert Einstein, the smartest man of all time, he's basically going, them ones do my head in. He can't be bothered with politicians doing like yes and no answers. Back then, there was probably the equivalent of our politicians, so people were probably stealing boilers and all that kind of thing. So yeah, fair play. I mean, that's a mark of the man. That's how you know he was very intelligent, because they were like, also like, if you were like the deputy prime minister of Israel, you'd be fuming. Just because he's smart doesn't mean he should get it. You know what I mean? That's like Arlene Foster stepping down from being first minister and like big Stephen Hawking getting the call up. And also I've just realised that probably wouldn't happen because Stephen Hawking is absolutely dead. But I think he would have actually made a very good first minister. And I think he could have had a lot of fun with his keypad being the first minister. And, I think he couldn't have done a worse job, essentially. So, there you go. Number 3, while in power, Pope Gregory the Ninth. Now, that says IX, but I can read Roman numerals. Weird flex. He declared that cats were to be associated with devil worship and had them exterminated. He issued the papal bull, which is the first official church document that condemns the black cat as an incarnation of Satan, and consequently it was the death warrant of the animal. I mean, I feel like that there's definitely racist undercurrents there from Pope Gregory. You know, he seems like an extremely sly guy. Also, you know, the thing with black cats and white cats, I don't understand what that is. You know, when people say, like, I don't know what the difference is. If a white cat runs out in front of your car, it's good luck or it's bad luck. And then the other one, it's vice versa. I feel like that happened to one person who, like, a cat, like a white cat ran in front of their car. And then they got, like, a class dinner that night. Their mom made them a class dinner. And they went, here, that's a sign of good luck. Because it's never applied to anything since. I remember I was going to do my 11 plus test whenever I was, I don't know, 10, 11. Probably 11 because that makes sense. And I remember we were on our way to do a white cat ran out in front of my mum's car on the way to leave me off to school. Or a black cat, I don't know which one means good luck. And she went, oh, that means good luck. And it didn't because I got a C1. Your man got a C1, and I know there's a lot of people would be delighted with that, but it's not like, it's not pimping to get a C1 really, like. Although it was good for me because in my mocks I've been getting even less than that, so a C1 was actually quite a big achievement for me. But for some reason I started going about saying I was going to get an A, which absolutely wouldn't have made sense because in every single one of my practice papers that year I got a really shit mark. Like I was averaging 36%, something like that. And then I was like, I think I'm going to nail it on the highest pressure one of all time. And then I kind of did, but for me, you know what I mean? Like I didn't do well. Also, there was a girl called Louise in my class sitting beside me for the 11 plus, and you just got assigned seating on like a grid, and she was sitting in the back corner, and she started to have like a panic attack, which I don't even think back then was called a panic attack. Like nobody really acknowledged a panic attack back then. People were just like, dead on, you'll be alright. You know, no one took it seriously, which was very sly with hindsight. But she had like a full-blown panic attack because she didn't want to be in the corner because she felt claustrophobic. And then I remember the teacher coming down to me and very quietly going, would you swap with her just because she's really upset she doesn't want to be in the corner? And I couldn't work out why. I was like, why on earth is she getting on like that? Why does she not want to be in the corner? And then, true story, the teacher asked me would I switch seats with her, and I said no, because then I started to think that there was something wrong with being in the corner. And that's so sly. But when you're P7, you don't know how to be not sly. P7s are just very sly people. You know, I was like, oh my god, it's only the corner. Shane, would you mind moving to the corner? Absolutely not. No, miss, I will not. And I don't know how she did in the 11 plus, but Louise, if you didn't do as well as you think you would have if you weren't in the corner, I apologise. I should have sat in the corner. Maybe I would have got an A if I'd have sat in the corner. We'll never know. We'll never know. Also, I remember some girls in my class after the 11 plus had like a war with the boys, and they used deodorant. The girls had cans of Impulse and the boys had cans of Lynx, and they chased each other outside school and were spraying each other with deodorant. You smell like a girl, you smell like a boy. And I remember just running about, you know, and not really being allowed to play because I had Old Spice, you know, and they're like, oh, no, nobody wants that. I don't know if it's got very dark in this room, but look, these things happen. So yeah, Pope Gregory just wanted to kill all the black cats. What a dickhead. I mean, I don't even like cats, but sly. Number 4, some people believe the disappearance of those cats helped rats spread the bubonic plague or Black Death that killed millions of people in the 1300s. Well done. Well done, Pope Gregory the 9th, mate. Well done, you've made a complete bollocks of it. Hey, we're going to get rid of these cats here, right? Nothing's going to happen, is it? No, you'll be alright. And then some believe the disappearance of the cats helped rats spread the bubonic plague. Gregory, mate, we need to talk. Wait, what's happened? Fucking bubonic plague, mate. Oh, for fuck's sake, sorry, boys. How many has it killed? Millions. Ah, no. Ah, dear. Sorry about that, my bad. And there's an old picture of just loads of guys looking at a big mountain of dead rats. And I don't know what's grosser, the fact that there's a load of rats lying about or the fact that they're just calmly standing there looking at them. More importantly, in 1929, 2 Princeton researchers claimed they turned a living cat into a telephone. Now, number 1, it didn't happen. Number 2, why was that happening in Princeton? Because that's where like smart American people go to. Like, if that's a Belfast Met, 1000% I believe that people had thought that they had done that, and I went to Belfast Met. That's the sort of thing definitely guys would have gone about the canteen at Belfast Met saying with sausage rolls on their trays. I just turned a living cat into a telephone there. Did you, mate? Yeah. You know, it was me saying it, but I mean, yeah, it also didn't happen, and it's a tough one to like, it's a tough one to prove it happened, and it's also a tough one to prove that it didn't happen. Because if you're just beating about with a phone and going, this used to be a cat, how do you know that it wasn't? But then how do they know it was? I remember an episode of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. It's the way all great stories start. Yes, I recall a fine episode of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And what happened was Will Smith went to, also so class that in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air's name was just his real name. I remember watching a documentary and they said, why was that? And he said, the actor who played Carlton said, everybody's going to know you by this character name, so it'd be easier if it's just your own name. Because if you're called, like, I don't know, Michael, people are going to go, Michael, mate, and you won't know who they're talking about. So, good move. Nice one, Carlton. But, yeah, I mean, what were they researching where that was part of the syllabus? Welcome to welcome to day one of the class here, where the syllabus is all going to be on turning living cats into telephones. Has anybody got any questions? Me, how likely is it we'll do this? Not very. But fair play to them. Before dentures were invented, teeth were extracted from the mouth of dead soldiers and used as prosthetics. Okay, didn't need to know that, and stinking. Number 7 is this. Russian dictator Joseph Stalin often had photos retouched to remove people who had died or been removed from office. I mean, that's a very me move. That is the bitchiest thing of all time. Also, surely when Stalin was knocking about, I don't know, the 30s, 40s, I don't really know that part of history. I only know, as I've said, the Spanish Revolution in Mexico, or Spanish, fucking, you know what I mean? And right, Joseph Stalin, I'd say back when he was knocking about, it wasn't as easy as now. There wasn't Photoshop, so he couldn't really go to a boy and go, here, mate, fucking crop him out of this here. I imagine it took a lot of technology, and Stalin's just like, he has died. Take him out of my picture. I don't like the look of dead men. Gross. Ugh. That is creeping me out. Take him out. Or people have been removed from office. I mean, what a bitch move. Also, there's a picture of him here with these guys, and then they just keep cropping people out until it's just him. And I do that a lot with pictures backstage at stand-up gigs. Take them all out. Take them all out. Take everybody out who's not wearing a short-sleeve hoodie. That's much better. Chinese women used to bind their feet to prevent further growth. The painful custom became popular as a means to display social status and was a symbol of beauty in Chinese culture. I tell you what isn't a sign of beauty, the photo here that shows it. Because what it looks like is somebody's taking a loaf of Hovis with just the 2 heels and beating it up with a hammer and a bag. That's these feet. Absolutely stinking. And I say that as a guy who doesn't have great toes myself. But they're not this bad. Again, that's weird. And one person starts that and they all go, oh, is it? Is that like a cool thing to do? Hold on here. There was nobody knocking about China back then to go, here, don't be at that. Don't be at that. A sign of beauty. Oh my God, you're gorgeous, your face is beautiful, and your body. What do you think of my toes? Rome's most tyrannical emperor is tyrannical? I don't know. Rome's slyest guy, Julius Caesar Augustus Germanius, also known as Caligula. I mean, way easier than all that. Made one of his favourite horses a senator. Now, that's banter, and that shows you that even back then, there was people still having a bit of banter. I'd like to welcome our new senator here today. He's going to make big changes. Do you have any questions for him before we bring him in? Yes, does he feel like there's a lot of pressure that's going to go with this job? And then he comes out, nay! And everyone fucking cracks up. They crack up, and then he does a big shade over the floor, and everyone's like, we'll make it used to that. So I like that. And I think that Gaius Julius Caesar Augustus Germanicus, also known as Caligula, was a fun guy, and I like that a lot. Number 10, the Anglo-Zanzibar War in 1896 is the shortest war in recorded history. Yeah, the war, which was between the UK and Zanzibar, lasted only 38 minutes. I mean, I think that tells you that one of the sides was probably not prepared for it. 38 minutes. That's an episode of Emmerdale and then a wee bit of Corey after. How quickly was that? Let's do battle, the cannons go off, and then the guys go, lads, we don't want to be doing this anymore, and we apologise. So is there any way we could wrap this up? I like that. A 38-minute war. How ripping would you be if you'd been the ones that travelled all the way there for that war? And you came back and your wife's like, why are you back so soon? 38 minutes. There's a picture of it here. And some guys are wearing little sailor outfits and they don't look hard at all. But maybe that's why they won. Maybe they showed up with these wee sailor outfits on, these wee hats, and they're all there with their hands on their hips and wee flares. And maybe the other side started laughing at them. Maybe they're like, you think that's funny? Ba-boom, cannon. The Leaning Tower of Pisa was never actually straight to begin with, and the design was flawed from the beginning. I mean, love is love, and be who you want to be, I think, is the main point there. I don't know why people were trying to force it to be straight. The Leaning Tower of Pisa does not want to be straight. Let it live its life. The foundation was set weekly on unstable soil and began to sink when they started on the second floor. I mean, at that stage, go back and change it. You know, those boys are a bit like cowboy builders being like, I've started this here, so I'm going to have to finish. The Leaning Tower. I mean, I have no intention of ever going to see the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Like, people can't believe the crack up. It's slanted. Just look at pictures of it then. Don't go and see it. Number 12. Researchers believe that the Guanajuato mummies' terrible expressions are the result of the victims being buried alive. I mean, I'm looking at the pictures and one of them looks like it's going, and the other one's going, bollocks. So yeah, I could well believe that. Oh no, yeah, that doesn't look sweet. Nah, they look like they've just been told that they went to get tickets for my tour, but it's one of the dates is sold out. Former North Korean dictator, and also I went to see the mummy in Belfast in the museum in Belfast whenever I was a kid with school, and somebody said about blah 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 a dead mummy, and I started to think about my mummy being like that and embalmed and stuff, and I think I started to cry in the museum in Belfast, and that's fine because I've told you that and you didn't hear it from somebody else. Number 13. Former North Korean dictator Kim Jong-il was said to be a great lover of music. He composed 6 operas while he was in office. I mean, did he though? Because I'm going to be honest, the guy has spoofed before. This guy has definitely told fibs, you know, and saying he's written an opera, I guarantee he did all those in the same day. You know, he wrote a couple of lyrics of his songs that were shit, and he showed it to a guy, and the guy's like, that's brilliant. He goes, that's an opera, and the guy's like, is it? And he went, it's a fucking opera, if I say it. And he goes, yeah, it is. And then he just kept, like, coming back with him. What do you think? Here's another one. This is just the lyrics to Wonderwall. It already exists. Dead. Kletterstop spears are strange 3 billion year old rocks that have been dug up in South Africa. Up to now, no one's been able to explain the markings on their sides. It just looks like a bit of wear and tear. It just looks like wear and tear. Like, that's going to happen. So I'd say, like, it's just from a wee bit of, like, rough edges and rubbing against stuff. So there you go. That's that sorted. The great Omaha Indian chief Blackbird was said to have loved his horse so much he was buried sitting on top of it. Yeah, swagged out. Also, if you're a great Omaha Indian chief and you're called Blackbird, you probably get whatever you need. You know, so yeah, I actually do like that. And also, if there is an afterlife, and I don't know, even though I did listen to that fucking 17 hours about Crazy Horse, who himself was an Indian chief, I have no idea whether they believe in reincarnation or whatever, but I like that if like coming back is a thing, he's already prepared and he's on a horse, and he'll probably be the only guy if there is an afterlife, in the afterlife with a horse, and loads of people will be jealous and be like, that's sly, you've got a horse and all, and he'll go, yeah, sure, I got buried on it. Before there were alarm clocks, there were knockers up who were hired to shoot dried peas from a blowgun at people's windows in order to wake them up in the morning. That's way more fun than just setting your iPhone, like setting 15 alarms. What about from this picture here? You can just see like quite a big lady with a big blow dart shooting dried peas. Man up the fuck here, you. You have to get up for work. Alright, I'm up. She shoots dried peas, and if you don't get up, next it's a mandarin orange. Fuck's sake, Sheila, I'm up. Will you relax? I mean, if comedy doesn't work out, which it probably won't, that's a job I want. So what previous work experience do you have? I used to shoot a blowgun at people's windows to get them up in the morning. Very, very enjoyable. Because, yeah, how would you know to get up? Like, I'm surprised actually in olden times they got as much done as they did, because someone just had to like stay up and just tell the rest of the boys, hey, it's time to get up at 7 a.m. The mysterious 18th century Shepherd's Monument in Staffordshire bears the inscription Dousvavvm. Some believe it was left by the Knights Templar as a means of finding the Holy Grail. I mean, check it out and see if that is the case, because if that is very interesting. I like the way they're like, it could be a clue for the Holy Grail. I'd be interested in finding the Holy Grail for sure, for real. Like, definitely, if you said to me, I don't think I'd go to too much effort, but if you said to me, like, do you want to find the Holy Grail? Like, 100%, I would be interested in putting in some sort of work to see if I could find it. But maybe it's just like a, like a dime bar or something at the end of it. Or maybe it's not that impressive, but when you see it, you would be like, that is pretty class. Number 18, President Ronald Reagan was also a prolific lifeguard who saved 77 people from drowning. I mean, that is impressive if he did that all in the one move. But if he just did it I don't know how many people lifeguards save. So I don't even know if that's a big number in the lifeguard game. But it probably is also something you could spoof about as well. You know what I mean? Like, you definitely make it up. I'm not saying he did, but you could have. Rasputin, a Russian mystic, reportedly survived being poisoned, shot, and stabbed numerous times before he was finally drowned in the Volga River. So here's the thing. There's this story. I don't know if it's a myth or actually a real story about these guys in New York who tried to kill this Irish giant. This guy, I might have this wrong, and it's fine if I have, but there was this like giant, like 7-foot guy who lived in New York, and I think all these fellas in his local bar in New York, this was maybe in like Victorian English times in New York, they conspired to kill him to get his life insurance money or something like that. And they tried all these ways to kill him, but they couldn't, and they kept making a bollocks out of it, and he kept surviving. And if that is a story, I'm going to find someone who would know the story and could tell us it, like a historian, and maybe they could come on and tell us the real story and remind me to do that. But yeah, pretty sly to be mugging off Rasputin like that. Number 20, Winston Churchill typically smoked between 8 and 10 cigars a day. Oh, you're hard. That's a lot. That's definitely a lot of cigars. Between 8 and 10 a day. I mean, Winky Churchill, come on, mate. Yeah, but maybe he just thought that was cool and people like associate him with it, so he felt like he had to. I don't know. I probably smoked 2 cigars in my life, and I don't think I ever will again. Because afterwards I realised that I don't like it, and it hurts my wee lungs. Number 21, during the Great Depression, people often made clothes out of flour sacks. Distributors would make their sacks more colourful to help people remain at least somewhat fashionable. I mean, no, it's not. Someone needs to put me in a time machine and take me back to those times of the Great Depression and be like, listen, I know you think colouring your, potato sacks orange and purple and stuff is more fashionable, but sweetheart, it's really not. It's still a potato sack. And I'm sorry to say it, but someone has to. Back to 2020. Woo! And then I end up back in 2020. Maybe if more people had been honest with fashion, it wouldn't have been the Great Depression back then. People would have been happier because they would know the score. But it is sly that actually had to happen. Flour sacks. I mean, that wouldn't be out of sight in like established coffee in Belfast now. People beating about in a flour sack with a Carhartt hat on, and old Puma King football boots and shin guards. Why are you wearing that? Just fashion, bro. Okay, mate. Do you do tea? Yeah, we do tea. I might have to get my laptop charger at some point, and I really hope I don't have to, but I might well have to from downstairs. And if I do, what's going to be so annoying is I'm going to have to edit that part of the podcast, just to make this a little bit quicker. I'll probably do it, you know what I mean? And that gives you a little glimpse inside my mind of what I'm willing to do and how sometimes I can be lazy. But mummy's been working all day, so just give her a bit of leeway, okay, pet? No, I'll do one more. Number 22, the largest bird ever to exist had a wingspan of almost 20 feet. It lived 60 million years ago, and there's an interpretation of it there. I mean, that is actually quite big, but I would have actually said the largest bird to ever exist was bigger than that. Because, see, take my word for it, 60 million years ago, things were mental. And things were all bigger and all. And there was woolly mammoths and there was a lot of different stuff in the world. So I actually dispute that, and I think there might have been bigger birds. And if anybody wants to challenge me on that, they can. And also, I'm glad that birds that size aren't beaten about anymore, because, and I've said beaten about a lot, but you know, that like if that bird shit on you, genuinely, you would look like you'd been gunged on Nickelodeon, and that wouldn't be sweet. Number 23, like many ancient royalty, King Tutankhamun's parents were related. According to DNA taken from his mummified body, his parents were actually brother and sister. A couple of things also just remembered. They did, like, Tutankhamun's always portrayed as this really beautiful guy, like whenever they do like art of him and whenever they show him in textbooks, and then historians like got his mummified body and recreated his face, and I'm gonna be honest, the guy's absolutely stinking. he had a head on him like a baked bean. But definitely he had a lot of power back in the day, and he just kept going up to historians that were doing drawings of him, being like, don't make a dick out of him. It's like when you get a caricature done when you're on holiday in Tenerife when you're a kid, and they make you look so bad. He's the opposite. He's like, honestly, make me look sweet. Because let me throw this out here, and I'm sorry if this offends anyone, but King Tutankhamun was a fucking stinker. And also, don't kick a man when he's down, but his mum and dad were brother and sister, so not as sweet as he was portrayed. Just an incest, big beanhead, potato head guy. Number 24, the use of the word hooker as a term for a prostitute originated with Civil War General Joseph Hooker, who was a dirty bastard. It doesn't say that. It says he brought prostitutes along on campaigns for his men. That's all our historical facts. That's very enjoyable. That's very enjoyable that's where that comes from. I mean, his wife would have been raging with him when she found out that that's what, because eventually, his wife would be like, oh, they're calling prostitutes hookers now, and that's weird that that's our surname. And then someone would go, it's because of your husband. And then when he came home, he would be for the high jump. And I don't know if people said that phrase back then, but it is a great phrase, and I hope that they did. I really enjoyed doing that. I hope you guys, well, it wasn't like too rambly or whatever, but a lot of fun. Before we jump into listeners' questions, let me just plug the merch. Been going on about this for a while, but I'm actually going to stick it up tonight, so it'll already be up. You already have seen it on Instagram to show you what we're going to do. We're going to do a mug. Of course, we're going to do a Tea With Me mug. We're going to do a really nice Sipper t-shirt, and we're going to do a Money Toad t-shirt. And it's my dream to walk about and see people wearing these, and it would be very sweet. If you're coming to a tour show this year and you've got one of these t-shirts on, I would really like that. I would think that was really class. So we'll have the merch out, and there's a Keith Cruz t-shirt as well. And look, as the podcast moves along, if something crops up and we think it's funny and we're discussing it, we'll see if we can fire out a t-shirt. Material Goods are providing all those, and we're going to have a couple of sponsors coming up on the podcast. We've got 3 sponsors. Material Goods are going to be one. So as of next week, I'll make it a bit more official, and we'll have like wee quick reads for them all, and that just helps support the podcast and stuff. So just go with me on that. It'll be nice and sweet. Listeners' questions. I'm going to get my laptop charger, and it's going to be a nice time. Sippers, we are back with listeners' questions. Had to go all the way downstairs and get my laptop charger, which, as you guys know, I live in a 638 bed house, so it does take me a while to get down the stairs. And I'm out of breath from going downstairs because I'm 32. Dawson Clellan gets in touch and says, any chance of the Todd father adding another tattoo to his collection anytime soon? I think I made a couple of very bold claims on the podcast recently, and I'm pretty sure I said, also, has it got brighter in here? Has it got brighter in this room? Sorry, ignore me while I, oh no, my charger's falling down. Shit. Jesus. Shit on it. Ah, no. Oh god. I mean, I'm leaving this in just because I want to give you guys the authentic experience. Oh no, mummy's having... Okay, here we go, we're back. Sorry, I wanted to leave that in because you guys get reality. I don't know what... Hold on, let me see. I'm gonna phone producer Dan. Can I phone you on the pod now? Because I made a couple of claims, one of which involved a tattoo, and the other was that I was going to shoot a music video for Marcone Walking in Memphis. I was going to do a cover of it and just deadly serious, like upload it for the Patreon. So I think I said if we got a certain amount on Patreon, I would do the music video, and a certain amount I would do the tattoo, but I'll need to double check with producer Dan. So I have asked him. So if we do get there, Dawson, I think I'll have to do it. I think I said I would get a very, very small Money Toad logo or a cup thing somewhere on me, so possibly. Yeah, what's funny is people kept going, is that a sleeveless hoodie? And I posted up a picture of a couple of like sleeveless hoodies, but it was female models wearing them. Obviously as a joke, and then some people wrote back going, but that's women wearing them, and I had to write back and go, yeah, and therein lies the joke. Therein lies the joke. People write, unfortunately not. Yep, they've not understood it. Who else have we got? Yep. Okay, this comes from Mike Hilton, who says, "How's it going, Pound Frog?" Let me tell you here, sweetie pie. What about a character of just a real threatening hard man who always uses really, really nice things, like really nice words? Listen here, baby cakes. Okay? If you ever call me the Pound Frog again, the Pound Frog is definitely the enemy of the Money Toad. What brings a small murderous rage inside me? Also, how do I get a cheeky whip shabby shout out in the rave lockdown? Probably every week when I put a video out going, if you want a shout out, comment under this video. Probably there. Mike Hilton. Just because you own a chain of hotels, don't think you can run about like Billy Big Balls. I'll tell you, Mike, what brings a small murderous rage inside me, as well as being called the Pound Frog, is whenever you let somebody out when you're driving, you know, you let somebody go ahead or whatever, and they don't give you the wee wave. When they don't give you the wee wave, that really boils my piss, and I make sure I give them a big wave and a big thank you, big smile, and then they do wave, and I'm like, that means nothing to me, because you should have waved in the first place. I hate that. Just, you know, driving etiquette, basic driving etiquette like that. Colin Hines, the man himself, says, the most past remarkable question of all time. He goes, same question as last week, don't think you covered it. Well, I chose not to. Nah, I think I just missed it. He says, what kind of footballer are you? Can't decide if you're either into it. White boots, always trying to take on half the team, or a bit of a wind-up merchant, getting people booked. Slide tackles. Are you, it's slide tackles, but I like that you've written slide tackles. Are you looking forward to the Premier League starting back? Cheers, Colin. Very professional way to sign off. What sort of footballer am I? I mean, I would say not a world-class one. And no, I don't usually try and take the whole team on. I think at the age of 32, you sort of accept, you know, you're one of the old men of the team. White boots, absolutely not. I wear blacked out boots. I wear blacked out Adidas Copas. I think that's what they are. And I do slide tackles and all. Yeah, sometimes slide tackles definitely fun. Do wind people up only if they're winding me up. If people are winding me up on the pitch, then I'll definitely go back. I just play for a lot of fun. I think I can enjoy the fun of football a lot more now than, you know, when you're younger and it's kind of like so many games, despite the level of football, or like live or die. You know, you're like, this is it. Now I'm sort of a bit more like, you know what, it's something to do on a Saturday. It's a bit of fun. Let's try and, like, it's a good feeling to win a game, but I just enjoy training and playing football with the guys that I do play with, and it's kind of a social thing as well. I play for Dundrum, and it's a really good club. It's a cross-community club, which is brilliant as well, and they're just top guys, so I enjoy it. What sort of footballer am I? Just a very average one, unfortunately. Apart from the goal I scored at Seaview, which, by the way, I've never mentioned on the podcast, but if anybody doesn't know, I scored a world-class goal at Seaview past former Premier League and Northern Ireland International goalkeeper Alan Blaney. So there you go. Thanks for your question, Colin. Sean says, what were you like at school? Probably talked about this a bit before, but at school I was probably an average kind of student. I wouldn't say, I think I had funny moments, but I probably wouldn't have say I stuck out to teachers. Like if I meet teachers now, most of them probably wouldn't remember teaching me. I wasn't particularly into school, and I wasn't like a rebel at the same time. I was just kind of somewhere in between. My friends were mainly outside of school friends, so my mates that I would have knocked about with in Hollywood were my kind of were still my friends in school. So I maybe didn't do as much social stuff in school as a lot of people did, because at the weekends I was going to hang about with my mates in a place called White City in Hollywood, where would have played football and done all that kind of stuff at the weekends. And so I wouldn't say I stood out in school for any particular reason. I would say I was a bit funny, and I was definitely good at like doing impressions and stuff in school, and I didn't love it and I didn't hate it. Yeah, I had a very sort of normal experience in school, and I'd say I was alright in school, I think. Nikki says, still on the Barrys? And which Barrys did you have? The red box or the green box? Now, I had the red one, but is there like a Barry's Gold? Does this exist? Because I think then after I bought this one, I think I saw another Barry, so I maybe have my eye on that. So I'll finish the Yorkshire tea, see what's happening there, and then I'll maybe consider the Barry's jump. But Nikki, maybe you can advise me on that and tell me if I need to go to the Barry's Gold. What's the difference? I don't know, and I need to find out. I just got a notification on TikTok there. I got TikTok. I just started putting like all my old videos on it. And what's cool about TikTok is 13-year-olds just slabber at you and give you abuse and say where's Bunter. So that's the cool thing about, that's the upside to it. And there's no real downside to it. But it's just kind of funny to see some of the comments that you get. Joe says, when you come to London, will you be doing a special high tea with me episode? Get Big Lizzie involved. I don't know whether you mean like high tea in a posh way or like getting stoned with a cup of tea from Costa and Lizzie and Lizzie is just like your dealer. But yes, high tea. I would love that. Yes, I think that sounds delightful, and I'd say, would we, maybe you can set it up and we can lay this on for the London sippers. Maybe we do it in Claridge's. In fact, fuck the gig, we don't do stand-up. We're just going to have tea and vol-au-vents in Claridge's. That would be delightful. Yeah, it's funny. Have you ever, let me see, I declined that. I'll see if I can get it back. Someone's going in on my short sleeve hoodie. Ben Connolly says, I'd be more concerned about that t-shirt hoodie. Ben, let me look at your profile, let me see your face. Spoiler alert, stinking. So there's that, and I would say I'm only joking, but I am not. We have more. I'm just saying, if you're sliding me, then I'm sliding you, and then that brings my claws out. So that's what I'll say. I was asking people on Instagram because that's what you do, if I should grow my hair out or cut it, and the overwhelming majority say grow it out. So that's what we're gonna do. Jonathan, with one of the more niche podcast questions, said, "What car do you drive, Shane? Love the sunroof." Yeah. I didn't really realise at the time that I bought my car, but it has a really long sunroof, which actually doesn't go back, it's good that the sunroof's so big, but it doesn't retract. So it's like a false dawn. It's like a mirage, my sunroof. And I remember, because I do an Instagram story when I stop the car or whatever, or I'm just waiting for someone. I'll maybe do an Instagram story. I don't do it like when I'm driving, as you'll see, but I remember doing one in the car. I think my wife was away into the midwife appointment in hospital, and I was waiting in the car, because that's what you have to do, which is fucking terrible. But I put a story up and some guy wrote back, bro, not everyone needs to know you have a convertible. Hey man, I don't. You know why? Because I live in Northern Ireland. But that's funny that people would think that I would flex on my car, which, to answer your question, is a Nissan Qashqai. Now, where are my ballers at? Where are my ballers at? Where are my Qashqai queens? Yeah, hey, where's the Qashqai queens at? Blip, blip. And that's not a cow. That's us and our Qashqais in a convoy fucking driving. Where the Qashqai queens at? That's what I want to hear, boys and girls. Because we got them Qashqais, blip blip, and we're just showing up. Hashtag Nissan crew. That's what I drive, and that's who I am. I'm a Qashqai queen. I got really into that, mate, but hope that answers your question. This comes from SJ, who's a friend of the podcast. It's a shit jingle from me. Sorry, I apologise. What's the weirdest interaction you've had with a fan? There's definitely been times, especially in nights out, where you're sort of going like, what the fuck is happening here? What is this person saying to me? It's like honestly, it's 1 in every 50 people. I think I've told the story a lot before of the guy who outside the bot. I've been to the bot once, by the way. Whenever I was watching I think it was the FA Cup final, and I'd had like a couple of pints, but was sober as a judge. And me and my mates were going to get the last train back to Hollywood, and we're walking out, and this fella, who is the drunkest man in Ireland, and is a real life Mike McGoldrick's like, mate, let me get a photo here. And I said, yeah, no worries, no problem. By the way, my mates have started walking at this point because we're going to be late for the train. And he's so drunk that he can't see his phone. And I said to him, I saw how drunk he was, saw that my mates were leaving, and I very politely, and I'm going to be, you guys know that I'm a sassy Qashqai queen. The money toad loves his money, but also he's like, when he's chatting to people who want photos or whatever, he's a polite guy. He's a good etiquette guy. He has time. He has time for everyone, that fella, and that is true, and that's me saying that, which makes it null and void. But anyway, I said to this guy, do you want me to take it? Because he couldn't see his phone. And I was like, I'll take it in selfie mode of us. And he went, that's so rude. And I went, I don't know if it is. If me offering to take a photo of us on your phone because you can't because you're drunk, I don't know if that is. And he goes, my mate will take it. And I said, that's grand. And then his mate showed up, and his mate was more drunk, which was an achievement because this was the drunkest guy in Ireland. And then this guy was even more drunk, and he was the most drunk guy in the world. And then the guy who originally asked me for it, and by the way, the guy was 5'3", and he was like an angry 5'3" guy. And he was angry because I think I was taller than him. And I don't know why I say I think. I mean, I definitely am. If he's 5'3", I definitely am taller than him. And then he said to me, hey, jump on my back, Mike. And, you know, my real name obviously isn't Mike McGoldrick, but I didn't want to query that. And I said, I've got another idea. I don't. And then we could just stand here and chill for the photos. By the way, at this point, my mates are in the distance. They're miles away. They're going to get the train. I might not make the train. So what do? I was like, hey, mate, can we not do the back thing? But like, happy to get a photo with you. Good man. And he goes, well, then get on my shoulders. Now, this was the drunkest guy. Also, it was outside the bot, so I would have fallen on concrete. And I said, I'm not comfortable with that. And he said, whoa, you're a dickhead. And I said, thank you. And then sprinted to get my train. So I would describe that as definitely a weird fan interaction. And and also, you know, I asked this venue who are doing like driving events, like, would you guys be up for doing some stand-up? And they wrote back and said, we're not ruling it out. And that is, as I'll be honest, right? That is as helpful to me as it would be if you sent me a picture back of just Gary Barlow. Because if you want to do it, we do it and we can arrange it. And if you don't, that's fine. And there you go. That's just me. That's just me being me, and I don't apologize to anybody. And there's my mate Dino going, I didn't realize short sleeve hoodies were a thing. Basically upper body shorts. Where can I buy these? And I'm just going to write back, I'll get you sorted. And I like to leave it at that, and I probably will forget to send him a link to where I got it. And I don't even know if he's serious, but we'll do that. And okay, that venue got back to me. Okay. And that's too many messages, but I do appreciate it because I asked the question in the first place. Now, Michael Kerr says, greetings NBC, some tea time gossip for you, sip sip. Was recently listening to Dave Elliott's Sly Guy podcast. where he spoke fondly about returning to the gym with his friend. My question, therefore, is how jealous is the Money Toad of this presumably buff, sexy friend? Now, I think I know I do know the friend Dave's talking about, and let me just say this: he ain't no friend of mine. Dave is, but his friend isn't. And Dave and I used to go to the gym, and then he started going with this other guy, and now he always goes with this other guy, and I don't care. I don't care at all. And buff sexy guys, are they buff sexy guys, or are they gorillas in the mist? Or are they gorillas in the mist? Because it's one of those two things, and it isn't buff and sexy guys. Boom, there it is. Said it. Shots fired. Don't care. Me? Honey pie. I'm gonna do me. Those guys do them. And yeah, fuck them. Fuck them. Fuck them. Fuck them. Fuck him and his friend going to the gym. Whose gym? Fuck them. Nah, I don't care. Good luck to them. Good luck to them. Hopefully they get stuck under the bench. And then I'd have to come and lift it off. Paul, great question. How much money could the Money Toad get if the Money Toad could toad Money Toad? Yeah, a lot. The notes would get a lot. You know, I think the answer is about 17 grand. They are tickets still available for the Belfast show in Feb? They are indeed, mate. And the person you should ask isn't me, it's my friend Ticketmaster. And here's the point in the night, because it's 25 past 10 and I'm only sound asleep by this time, and that actually is true, because I like to go to bed early because I like to keep looking sweet. So here's what happens. At 20 past 10 I'm normally asleep, but if I stay awake, oh, the claws come out. And God help you if you've asked a sarcastic question at this point. My house is for sale. Will you advertise it for me for free, please? Absolutely not. So, okay, we've got one last question, and it comes from Matthew Mernon himself. Matthew Mernon and I have had a love-hate relationship in that he loves me and I hate him. So Daniel Houston as well. Daniel Houston says, with a full series of previously announced, is there any more ridiculous outfit choices as that quote from last time? Hopefully not that short sleeve hoodie you were wearing in general banter. 2 vomiting emojis. Daniel, you're a 15-year-old guy. Okay, and me and Dave did your podcast because we were very, very nice dad guys. I'm nearly a dad guy. Dave's a dad guy. And I did a nice thing for you, and what you've done there is betrayed me. And you do a podcast called The Dolecast with your friend. DOLE, The Dolecast. And what I want people to do is, if you've ever listened to that or you've subscribed to it, you probably haven't, I want you to go on the Apple Podcasts or whatever platform you listen to and unsubscribe. So I want you to unsubscribe from the Dolecast podcast if you subscribe. And if you have any episodes or whatever, delete them. And that's that. There you go. You're 15. I can't fight you because you're a minor, so you and I cannot have a fist fight. But what I can do is get your podcast off the air. I'm only joking, but seriously, do unsubscribe. Matthew Mernon says, and no, I mean, that is like, well, Dave and I'll go back on once a year, but then and only then do I want people to click that subscribe. Matthew Mernon says, with Colleen and Rebecca Vardy going to court and you running my good name through the mud over the YouTube link, what's the most libelous thing that's ever been said of you? So with Matthew Mernon, I noticed that like the Patreon YouTube link for my stand-up special had been shared out like too many times, and I was like, guys, can you please not do that, because I'm putting it on the Patreon, because you're supporting the podcast, and also it's kind of here for you as a perk, and it's not for people that aren't Patreons. And anyway, I basically accused Matthew Mernon, because he's a deceitful guy, of being the one to share it out. Hashtag Toddy Leaks. And he's not denied it there, which is a pretty controversial thing. And said that I've ran his name through the mud, which I absolutely have. The most libelous thing that's been said. Jeez, I don't know. Um, I mean, this is in no way liable, but you definitely get a lot of people who confuse me on Twitter with Shane Told, who is a Canadian, I think Canadian musician in a band called Silverstein or Silverstein. I've asked him to do the podcast. He is going to do one, and we can talk about how I get confused for him. And I don't know if it's ever happened the other way about it. I would doubt it, but some people before were giving him hate over something, but they were just tagging me in it, and it in no way applied to me, but I started to get really offended by it, and then I realised that it was absolutely not me they were talking about, because they were like, we were at one of your concerts in fucking, I don't know, Ottawa. And what's very annoying about that example I gave is I have done a gig in Ottawa once, because I was there with my friend Christian Nairn, who was DJing, and I did a stand-up gig, and I didn't do that good of a set. So looking back on it, was probably me. But no, it wasn't. I got confused with him. No, I don't know. Nothing stands out. But what does stand out, Matthew, is your hair. And I would like to hope that at this point, despite lockdown, despite coronavirus, you've got a cut. You're the only guy who I would sanction to go out and get an illegal haircut. Honestly, nobody would blame you for it, because honestly, if you were on your way home and the police pulled you over and they're like, "Where were you?" and you went, "I was at the illegal barber's getting a haircut," they go, "Okay, you got to go to jail," and then you would show them a photo of you 20 minutes before the haircut, and they go, "It's okay, son, go ahead. You needed that. You needed that." And you would drive off in your, I don't know what model of Fiat that you drive. I know you drive a Fiat car, and I've seen it. I saw you driving in it, but I don't know what the model is. I think it's called. I think it might be called. I think it might have been called the Missy Moo Moo or something. Is it like a wee Fiat Missy Moo Moo or something like that? It's something cute anyway, because it's a cute car. It's a cute guy with cute hair driving a cute car, and I'm gonna stop dragging your name through the mud. And I'm only going to compliment you because you drive a cute car and you got cute hair and a little mischievous smile. And there was a gig that you were at, remember, and you were in the front row and you brought some of your mates. I remember you didn't laugh the whole way through the show, and then I did point it out on the night, and you were like, "Oh no, I did find it funny." And then I had to say, "Well, never sit in the front row again, because that's not what I need when I'm trying new material," because it was a work in progress show. And then you sit in the front row and you don't react. And I actually think at one point you were wearing sunglasses, and I didn't like that. And we've moved on since then. But look, I apologise for dragging you through the mud. Have a bath, get that mud off you, and get that haircut. So that is it, guys, for this episode of the Team Me podcast. I'll be honest, honestly, I don't know what it was like for you guys, but this was one of the most fun ones I've ever done. And I mean that. It was giddy, it was silly, and that's just the way we do it. Patreon.com/TeamMePodcast, the bonus episode every Monday. I'll see you for the Friday episode, because we do the Wednesday and Friday. Let's call it public episode for the Great Unwashed. And then we got that cheeky Patreon Monday one. Also, there's my stand-up special on Patreon, and there's exclusive stuff that comes out, and we do the live podcast once a month with guests. So, and we'll have the live one we recorded a couple of weeks ago with Mickey Bartlett, Jamie Lee O'Donnell, Ryan McMullen. We'll have that up in maybe the next week or two, because that was a belter of an episode. What a lineup that was. So, I'm going to finish this with a semi-serious thanks very much. If you listen to this podcast, if you watch it, you subscribe, or you've ever told a mate about it or whatever, this podcast really, it's not stand-up. It's not the same adrenaline as stand-up, but there is something very cool about doing this, and people talking to each other about the podcast, and I see that online underneath things in comments, and sometimes you don't expect someone to regularly listen to the podcast, and they tell you they do, and you're like, you get a real buzz from it, and I love doing it. I absolutely love doing it, and I'm very grateful to the Sippers for just being the Sippers. This podcast is so much fun, and I'm gonna do my absolute best. I'll keep doing at least two episodes a week, after lockdown, when things go back to normal, because this podcast has become a big part of my life now, and that's a big statement to make, but I genuinely mean it, and I'm gonna cry. No, I'm only joking. I love doing this. I love doing this, and I was gonna do the episode tomorrow, but it was like, you know what? I feel a little bit silly let's get this out to the sippers. So yeah, do you know what? It's a bit like a sleepover that I'm having a great time at. And, you know, I just don't want you to go home. And it's weird, by the way, you're not sleeping over. But what I'm saying is, I've had a good time. And I've got to go now because I'm going to have one more cup of tea before I go to bed. And then I'm going to listen to my history podcast. Not my history podcast. It'd be so weird if I was also doing a history podcast. I'm going to listen to Daniele Bolelli. And it's fun to say. And it's a podcast recommendation. History on Fire. Also, I did Colin Geddes' General Banter podcast. We recorded that today. I don't know when that'll be out, but check that out. Pleasure to be on with him, and great just to see him, because when you do comedy, you're silly, and you talk to your comedy friends about silly things, but you also realise that they are also some of your best friends. And it was nice to be able to see him, and he made me a coffee, and I liked seeing his face, and we had a really good laugh on the podcast. So check out that episode too. And I can't wait to get back to stand-up. The tour, I definitely should have mentioned this. The tickets are on my website. The link is on my website, theshanetodd.com, and the merch will be there as well. Over and out, sippers. I love yous. Keep drinking tea with me, but not physically with me. I should have left it earlier.